Hello there, it's Austin. Today we're going to be celebrating the return of baseball season and brewing a Light American Pilsner. So let's get started. We'll start the brew day by collecting 4.5 gallons of reverse osmosis water. Water chemistry is exceptionally important with light lagers. Without a good filtration system, off flavors like chlorine can take over the taste of your final product, and small variations in your recipe or brewing method can change the perception of the style completely. So with our brewing salts added to our preheating water, it's time to mill our grains. I'm using right around 70% of Pilsner malt alongside some corn sugar that will be added in the boil and some Crystal 2-row 60 malt that will contribute a little bit more body, color, and flavor to the batch, which would otherwise be pretty pale considering it's mostly Pilsner malt and sugar. With all of our milled grains added to our preheated water, it's time to mash for 60 minutes at right around 150 degrees Fahrenheit. After the 60-minute mash timer has expired, it's time to pull our grain basket out of the Anvil Foundry and start the wort recirculation process. And that process is mainly while the wort is ramping up to boiling temperature, I'll pull a little bit out into a stainless bowl and rinse it back through the draining grain basket. It doesn't take too much time since the wort is already preheating, and even a couple rinses seems to give me a 5 to 7% efficiency bump. The next step is moving the kettle outside and starting our boil process. I'll be boiling for 60 minutes, and at the 30-minute mark, or 30 minutes into our boil, I'll be adding in 0.15 ounces of Galena hops. The next step, at 5 minutes left in the boil, is adding in some yeast nutrient to help promote better fermentation and attenuation at the end of the day, as well as the corn sugar that we talked about during the fermentable category earlier. Final boil step is turning off the boil and adding in a flame-out addition of Saaz hops. Next, we'll cool our wort down to almost yeast pitch temperature before transferring it over to our temperature-controlled fermentation tank. I splash mine around a little bit to promote some oxidation of the wort as it's transferring in. At the same time, I'll steal some wort for a gravity reading, which actually ended up right around 5 points higher than I was expecting, which of course I'll contribute to improved efficiency and not a mismeasurement of malt or sugar, anything like that. After connecting my glycol chiller system to the internal stainless steel coils inside of my conical fermenter, I'll drop the wort down to a lager pitch temperature of right around 56 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it's finally time to pitch our yeast. Today that yeast is the Pilsen Lager strain from Y Yeast, and it's actually the first time I'm using that yeast, so excited to see how it chews through this batch of American Light Pilsner. I'm using the hybrid lagering fermentation schedule for this beer, which basically means I'll set it at 55 degrees Fahrenheit for right around 10 days, and then after it's finished its active fermentation, I'll bump it up to 66 Fahrenheit for the last few days. This yielded a final gravity of 1.008, and after transferring the beer to a serving keg, carbonating and conditioning for a few weeks, the American Light Lager, or American Light Pilsner, is ready to enjoy. So my go-to beer whenever I'm at an outdoor event in the spring or summer is usually a light lager of some sorts, but it's refreshing and low ABV, and it doesn't make you feel bad if you're having to walk around in 100% humidity at a baseball game in the southeast. Not only is it refreshing, but it's usually the only beer that's not $18. I mean, they're usually pushing $12, so it's not exactly a steal of a deal. You're definitely sacrificing fullness of flavor whenever you substitute a big chunk of your malt bill with sugar, but this beer still has a lot of great Pilsner characteristics, if not dialed back a touch. And I'm actually getting a pretty decent level of breadiness and graham cracker, and just a touch of that Saaz hops coming through the nose and right on the tip of the tongue when you take a sip. I'm really pleased with how the clarity turned out. In fact, I could probably do the video through the glass, which is a good sign. Overall, light American lagers are an extremely popular beer, and they're also extremely popular to hate on. I'm really enjoying having this one on tap, especially with baseball season a few days away. And the good news is, statistically, you probably have somebody around that would enjoy sharing one with you. Cheers!